A few hours ago, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation held a briefing, during which the Russian military department detailed the current situation in the Special Military Operations Zone. In particular, representatives of the Russian Defense Ministry officially stated that over the past 7 days, Russian troops have liberated 8 strategically important settlements in Pokrovsk, Korokovo, and Vremyvsky directions of the front. Moreover, the Russian military also commented on the missile attack on Ukrainian weapons factories in the city of Dnipro, which took place on the night of November 21. In particular, General Igor Konashenkov officially stated that for the first time, under combat conditions, Russia successfully used its latest medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile under the designation Oreshnik. According to him, the warheads of this hypersonic ballistic missile were not equipped with a nuclear charge, and that all of them successfully hit and destroyed the intended targets. At the end of his speech, General Igor Konashenkov also added that over the past week, the Ukrainian army has lost 13,860 soldiers, and about 100 units of heavy equipment in its special military operations zone. Meanwhile, commenting on the successful test of the latest Russian hypersonic ballistic missile, Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council Dmitry Medvedev made a rather alarming statement that shocked the West and the Ukrainian authorities. In particular, he said that the North Atlantic Alliance is fully involved in the current conflict in Ukraine, and that Russia is simply forced to react harshly to this. Dmitry Medvedev noted that the recent decision by US President Joe Biden to allow Kiev to fire Western long-range missiles deep into Russian territory is increasingly turning the current conflict in Ukraine into a global one. In this regard, the deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council stressed that at Moscow's disposal, there are all the necessary means to confront the external enemies of the Russian Federation. According to Dmitry Medvedev, the latest hypersonic ballistic missile Oreshnik is a real game-changer weapon, capable of changing the course of any war on a global level. Moreover, a senior Russian official also noted that this latest hypersonic ballistic missile is just the tip of the iceberg, and that Russia has many more unpleasant surprises for the West. By the way, on November 23, Ukrainian Telegram channels stated that as a result of the attack by the latest Russian hypersonic ballistic missile, the weapons factory Yuzmash, in the city of Dnipro, received quite serious damage. According to them, the territory of this factory is still cordoned off by the officers of the Security Service of Ukraine, who do not allow even firefighters and doctors to the site of the missile strike. It is reported that at the moment, NATO officers are carefully examining the site of the missile strike and trying to find rocket debris and fuel residues, so that they can form a representation of the type and size of the latest Russian missile. At the same time, sources claim that the NATO officers were shocked by what they saw. As it turned out, the latest Russian hypersonic ballistic missile not only destroyed all the workshops on the territory of this weapons factory, but also significantly damaged 3 classified NATO underground workshops, which were located at a depth of 6 meters underground. As it turned out, the NATO leadership stored spare parts for short-range ballistic missiles in these workshops. As it turned out, in these underground workshops, specialists from the NATO armies assembled these ballistic missiles and passed them off as Ukrainian missiles. Moreover, after the latest Russian hypersonic ballistic missile Oreshnik hit the territory of the weapons factory Yuzmash, the management of this plant officially recognized that the workshops of the factory are no longer able to produce missiles for the operational tactical missile system GRUM-2. In addition, this weapons factory also lost the ability to produce RD-843 rocket engines, which were supplied in large quantities to Europe, for European spacecraft, as well as for NATO and French spy satellites. However, the bad news for the West did not end there. In particular, British military experts and analysts from the news TV channel Sky News acknowledged that the United Kingdom is not in a position to protect itself from Russian missiles. Moreover, British experts also stated that in the event war broke out with Russia, the British Army would not be able to hold out on the battlefield for even a week, and would be completely destroyed on the 6th day after the start of hostilities. At the same time, experts stressed that this problem is typical not only for Britain, but also for all European countries. According to them, the armies of all European countries are very weak, and unable to participate in high-intensity hostilities. Returning to the latest Russian hypersonic ballistic missile Oreshnik, British experts noted that after the appearance of this weapon in Russia, all military bases of the United States, Britain, and NATO, in Europe and the Middle East, found themselves in the zone of destruction of latest Russian missiles. According to them, in the event of a direct clash between NATO and Russia, all these military bases will be wiped off the face of the earth within 1 hour, since the West does not have such an air defense system that could shoot down these latest Russian hypersonic ballistic missiles. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin, during a meeting with the creators of the hypersonic ballistic missile Oreshnik, officially announced that Russia would continue testing this missile under combat conditions in Ukraine. I want to thank everyone who participated in the creation of this unique missile. You have once again proved that the Russian scientific base is very strong and continues to develop. I officially declare that we have already started mass production of these missiles. Hypersonic ballistic missile Oreshnik has significantly strengthened Russia's military potential, especially given the fact that no country in the world has such a missile in its arsenal. We will also continue testing this missile under combat conditions in Ukraine, depending on the situation and the nature of security threats to Russia, Vladimir Putin said. At the same time, it is worth noting that a few hours after Putin's statement, insiders in Kiev began to declare that high-ranking NATO officers, who were on the territory of Ukraine as military advisors, began to leave the Ukrainian capital en masse. Well, my dear truth seekers, all this indicates that the West is really scared of the latest Russian weapon, which will only become more powerful and deadly over time.